QB Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys. The 2024 season has been nothing short of a disaster for the Cowboys, and Prescott's play has been a contributing factor. With only one game scoring over 20 fantasy points in 8 weeks, he must quickly catch up to expectations. Dallas has dealt with injuries on defense and an inconsistent run game, but Prescott's struggles are hard to ignore. He exited Sunday's game with a hamstring injury, and Jerry Jones expressed concern afterward. Those types of injuries can linger, and Prescott's value in fantasy has plummeted without the rushing upside he once had. The Cowboys' game scripts should lend themselves to higher point totals, but Prescott's recent performances have shown he's no longer a reliable fantasy starter. If you want to shake things up before the trade deadline, dropping Prescott might be your best move. Jaylen Waddle? Miami Dolphins' Waddle has the talent and speed to be an elite fantasy option, but he has yet to deliver this season. His touchdown in Week 9 was his first of the year, yet he ended the game with -4 receiving yards, illustrating just how boom or bust he's been. Outside of his Week 1 double-digit performance, Waddle has yet to provide much value, and it's time for fantasy managers to consider cutting ties. The Dolphins' offense, while explosive, has often overlooked him, making him a risky play every week. If you've been waiting for a turnaround, the 9-week sample size suggests it's unlikely. It may seem drastic, but moving on from Waddle can free up a valuable roster spot for a more consistent performer. RB Alexander Mattison, Las Vegas Raiders. It's been a frustrating season for Raiders players in fantasy, and Mattison is no exception. While his pass-catching skills give him a slight edge, his rushing value is hindered by a team that often trails and abandons the run early. Mattison's upside is limited without significant touchdown potential or a steady workload, especially in an inconsistent Raiders offense. If you're holding him as a flex option or insurance, it's worth exploring alternatives. There's too much unpredictability in the Raiders' weekly game plan to rely on Mattison for consistent points, and freeing up his roster spot might allow you to add a more reliable option. Keenan Allen, Chicago Bears. Allen's move to Chicago hasn't done him any favors. The veteran was targeted 10 times in Week 9, yet only managed 4 catches for 36 yards. While Allen's track record made him a reliable draft pick, the Bears' lackluster passing game has held him back all season. Week 9 marked his second-best fantasy performance in PPR formats, but even that was underwhelming. Chicago's offense has yet to develop the chemistry needed to support a steady passing attack, and Allen's volume hasn't translated into fantasy value. If you're debating a mid-season shakeup, Allen is no longer a must-hold asset, and it may be time to look elsewhere. Romeo Doubs, Green Bay Packers. The Packers' passing game has become a weekly guessing game for fantasy managers, and Doubs has found himself on the wrong side of consistency. While he flashed potential earlier in the season, Green Bay's offense under Jordan Love has struggled, limiting fantasy production. Christian Watson was deemed expendable 2 weeks ago, and now Doubs is in the same boat. Love's challenges have affected the entire receiving corps, and it isn't easy to trust Doubs as a viable starter with so many mouths to feed in Green Bay. If you're eyeing a playoff push, moving on from Doubs could provide the flexibility you need to optimize your roster for the final stretch.